the News Channel 5 network, this is Open Line.
Hello everyone, welcome to Open Line. Really important show tonight. We're talking about safekeepers in Tennessee. Who are they and why are they in solitary confinement in Tennessee prisons? There was an article that was just published in the Tennessean about this. It is changing state law, and it shed light on something that really needed to have light shed on it. I'm happy to have with me Allie Winters, TSU professor, but really you come to this because former mental health provider for Tennessee Prison for Women. So you were there at Tennessee Prison for Women. Yes. You saw safekeepers. And I want to mention before we get into our discussion, we are streaming this first portion at least live on our Facebook page. You can post comments there, call in a moment. But tell us, what are safekeepers? What are we talking about here?
That's an extremely good question and a difficult one to answer. Safekeepers come from a pool of people that have been charged with a crime, but they haven't been convicted. Most of them haven't even been to trial. And they, for whatever reason, develop some sort of medical condition or mental health condition where the jails can't provide for, so they are sent into the state system. And when they come into the state system, they're automatically routed into solitary confinement. And if you know the criminal justice system at all, you understand that when people are awaiting trial, if they're pretrial detainees, they can't afford bail. So these are the safekeepers, and they have to stay detained until their trial, which can be months, if not years. And safekeepers are folks who are in the state prison system in solitary confinement and often have to stay there for months, if not years, in solitary confinement awaiting trial.
What we're talking about are mentally ill people. In some cases, we're talking about juveniles, right? We're talking about kids that are sent to a state prison, and then once they're at the state prison, they're put in solitary confinement.
Yes.
You saw this firsthand at Tennessee Prison for Women. The prisons where all of those from the jails come, they're in Nashville. River Bend is one. Tennessee Prison for Women is one. And
DeBerry.
So they're all here in Nashville. What did you see?
I worked in the solitary confinement unit at Tennessee Prison for Women, and that's where they house safekeepers. And they would come in and automatically be placed in maximum security. And that means that they're locked down 23 hours a day. And if they're lucky, they get out an hour. Over the weekends, they don't get out at all. And they just got stuck there. They mostly had either a mental health condition or a medical condition that required some treatment that their county jail couldn't provide. But once that was done, well, I mean, I had multiple patients who were pregnant. Well, that's not a permanent condition, right? I mean, at some point you're no longer going to be pregnant. But what happened was they would, you know, this issue, whatever brought them into safekeeping would resolve. And let's just use pregnancy as an example. They would give birth, and that wouldn't mean that they would then go back to their counties. They got stuck in the prison in solitary confinement. And you've got to understand, a lot of these women in safekeeping were from a long way away. You know, they may have been from Johnson City or Bristol, which is several hours drive away. And so that's where their baby went. When they gave birth, their baby would go there. That's where their primary sources of social support are. And I really have to...
People can't drive that far often to visit.
No,
so they're just alone.
They're there by themselves, and they can't work, so they can't earn any money for hygiene products or anything like that. They can't earn money for stamps or for phone calls. And you know, when you're awaiting trial, you got to think about the idea of how to mount a proper defense too. You know, you're not just all of those miles away from your family and your loved ones, but you're also that far away from your defense attorney.
This to me highlights so many issues. I mean, we can begin to walk through them.
Yeah.
One issue is that many county jails aren't equipped. So they're not equipped to handle certain situations. So let's take, well, I guess pregnancy is certainly one, but let's take mental illness.
Right.
Someone comes in, they're mentally ill, they have not been convicted of a crime at all. They've been charged with a crime, they've messed up, they've whatever, they've been arrested, whatever. They have not been convicted, they're awaiting trial, and they have some mental problems. The county jail says, we can't handle this person. And so they're sent to a prison. They're sent to the state, and the state policy is to immediately put them in solitary confinement.
Right. Yeah.
And so this just sheds light on so many problems. Lack of mental illness support in these local jails is
right. Yeah, you know, you bring up, I want to be very clear that the Safekeeper Law is actually a good thing, because the Safekeeper Law recognizes that people in jail have needs. And if the jail can't provide what is necessary for this particular person, then this law helps them get what they need. But it's in the process of getting them what they need where it breaks down. Because once they enter the state system, first of all, they may not be getting what they need. They may not be getting the mental health care or the health care that they need. And then you add on to that this idea of placing them in solitary confinement, which comes with its own list of mental health and health-related consequences. It can be extremely psychologically damaging, just basically putting somebody in solitary confinement. So you're making the problem worse by trying to treat it. You know, so it doesn't make any sense the way the system is set up, especially when you're talking about people who haven't even been convicted of a crime. These are innocent citizens of Tennessee, yet they are placed in maximum security, in solitary confinement. They are psychologically damaged by that environment, and I gotta say this, they're handcuffed and shackled every time they leave their cell. And you're thinking to yourself, these people haven't even been convicted of a crime, but they're being treated like they're extremely dangerous. And it just was not making sense to me at all.
One of the things I found interesting in reading the article that I read that was so good was, you said, in many cases, people are acting with the best of intentions. There was a judge who said, I had no idea they were put in solitary confinement. I just realized this person needed some additional help that the county jail couldn't provide. I just wanted to get him some help. So do you think that is the case, that in many cases, sure, a small county, they can't deal with somebody who maybe has severe mental illness. Maybe they can't deal with somebody who's pregnant. There's things they can't deal with. So they send them to the state, and they're hoping they're going to get some more help. And what you saw, you said, was heartbreaking.
Yes, it was heartbreaking. That's a good word for it. There is very good intention on the front end, you know, where people are recognizing, hey, this person needs some help. You know, they have a mental illness or a medical condition we cannot treat. And the judge is hearing, you know, from the sheriff's office or the local jail, and they're presenting their argument for this. And this, I mean, it's a good thing on the front end. It's just the minute they pass through the threshold of the Department of Correction, they fall under this policy that drives them into an environment that is extremely unhealthy.
So where does, well, first of all, how many people are we talking about? What are the numbers associated with this?
You know, obviously there are more men than women, and I believe that the article had identified somewhere between 70 and 80 safekeepers, and I believe
that was in the last year, right?
That was in the last year.
There's several hundred over the last. Well, this says from 2011 to 2017, 320 people. Were declared safekeepers.
Right. That's the people who pass through the system. As a safekeeper. So it's not an extremely large group, but I think that it's a group that highlights the disconnect between what people need and what the system is providing for them.
What needs to happen? What would you... There's been a bill that's been moving forward in the legislature.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
So are you satisfied with that? Is that just the beginning? What do you think needs to happen?
I think it's a good place to start. The Senate Bill 1575 and House Bill 2106 really start to address the issues specifically with juveniles, specifically as it relates to solitary confinement, and also the idea that people need to be present when their case is being discussed in front of a judge, and that judge is going to make a decision about safekeeping. And also puts in place a 30-day review process to make sure that people don't get stuck in the state prison system. That once that issue has been resolved, they get sent back to their county jail.
All right, we have to take a break, and then I want to come back. I want to hear, again, some of the things you saw when you worked at the Tennessee Prison for Women. Obviously, you felt so strongly about this that you've worked on this for over a year. You've really...
almost 2 years now. I've been working as an advocate for the safekeepers.
So I want to talk about some of the things you saw. We'll also read some of the comments that are coming across on our Facebook Live, which is we're carrying this live on our Facebook page, the News Channel 5 Facebook page. And if you want to call in, there's a number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.